Rangers, riders, and everyone in between. My name is Cole Williams, and wouldn't you know it, this is my Ryusoulger adaptation video. I'm so sorry for the delay, but fun fact, I had a job when my life wasn't being disrupted by COVID-19 craziness, and that demanded a lot of my time. But not to worry, my beautiful 18 subscribers, if I wind up going back to work, I'll still be posting videos when I can. For those who need a quick recap, in January of this year, there were rumors heavily circulating that the next season of Power Rangers was going to be an adaptation of Kishiryu Sentai Ryusoulger. And during the process of my writing this script, those rumors have been officially confirmed by Hasbro themselves. Now, I will say that this has caused quite a bit of controversy among the Ranger fandom, but whether or not skipping Kyuranger is a good decision on the part of Hasbro is besides the point. I'm not here to argue, I'm here to adapt. That said, this is going to be a different sort of adaptation. I'm going to try a different format from my Galaxy Defense series, which you are free to watch. It isn't going to be anywhere near as in-depth. This isn't going to be a beat-by-beat story. Basically, what I have is a setting, a premise, a cast of major characters, and a few proposed scenes for the first episode, which will all be contained within this one video, and that's it. With this out of the way, this is Power Rangers Lost Kingdom, taking what's old and making it new. So, one of the things I want to talk about is the setting. The story will take place in two time periods. For instance, our team will come not from the future, like in Galaxy Defense, but from the distant past. I'm thinking sometime in the 11th century, during a time in which our realm is at war with demons. I thought it might be appropriate to set at least part of the story, including various flashbacks in medieval times, since this is a team of knights. It will, however, mostly take place during the modern day, probably the year 2021, if that's when the series is going to be adapted for real, in the college town of Castle Valley, USA. Now, for those of you who are either from or have been to New Zealand, yes, you got me, this is quite clearly a picture of the city of Auckland. But this would make a great filming location for a number of reasons. It's cost-effective, it's beautiful, Power Rangers has filmed in Auckland for years, and there are a number of caves around Auckland, which will be good because an excavation site will be involved in my story, and if we can't film the interiors of the actual caves themselves, I presume we can build sets, which would be even better because then we have some room to play with details like potential ruins and things like that. Now for the meat of this video, the characters. For starters, even though this is a Power Rangers series, the story is actually not going to be told from the Rangers' point of view. This is part of what I mean by taking what's old and making it new. I wanted to do something different, and as I've said before on this channel, if you're going to do something different, do something different. All of that said, our main character, who is not a Ranger, but an innocent bystander, is Peter Woolley, who I might peg as a Squall Charleston type. Peter is a bright college student who's currently going for a creative writing degree at Castle Valley University. He's your average Joe, not particularly physically imposing, but he's passionate about what he does. I decided to make him a college student for a couple of reasons, not the least of which because I myself am a recent college graduate, so I feel like I still have a pretty good handle on what it's like to be a college student. But the other more important reason is that in order to take something old and make it new, you have to introduce at least relatively fresh concepts into established formulas. We've seen high school students in Power Rangers countless times, but if I'm not mistaken, the last college student in the franchise was Alyssa on Relay, the White Ranger from Power Rangers Wild Force, and that was 18 years ago. 18 years ago. God. Am I getting too old for this? Nobody cares. Anyway. Peter is going to serve as the main character and narrator of the series, and for the latter, I'd have him keep a journal. I thought it might be interesting to have the story be told by someone who is a sort of stand-in for the audience. Not only would he be a stand-in for the children watching, but also for us, you know, the longtime fans who are older now. If you all hadn't gathered, a lot of the show is going to focus on Peter's interactions with the Rangers, and how them being in his life will complicate things. Speaking of the Rangers, who will also be adults as well as members of different fantasy races, let's talk about them now. We'll start with Big Red himself, Sir Logan Ryder, the human leader of this group of knights. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, I should quickly mention here that Keeping in line with the source material, the Rangers derive their powers from soul magic, particularly from the souls of dinosaurs. And he mainly uses the Tyranno soul. I imagine him filling the role of the model Ranger. Kind, friendly, sociable, valiant, perseverant. He promotes synergy and cohesion within his team, and he cares more about the safety and well-being of his comrades more than his own. In battle, he favors using an overwhelming flurry of offense, but prefers strategies that will result in the least amount of collateral damage. As such, he prefers to use Plan Xander before resorting to fisticuffs. If you don't know what Plan Xander is, I suggest you watch Power Rangers Mystic Force. Next we have Sir Arathorn, the Blue Ranger, user of the Tricera Soul. He's a level-headed elf, highly intelligent, curious. The series is heavily steeped in fantasy, so I imagine he'll be the expert on all things magical, mystical, and mythical. Because of his vast knowledge and wisdom, he knows exactly how much he is worth to the team, and as a result, he can sometimes come across as arrogant, but he's still pretty friendly. His attitude does cause him to butt heads with the other Rangers from time to time, but everything will ultimately be alright. He'll loosen up, it'll be okay. Next is probably my personal favorite character, Dame Bricka, the Pink Ranger, user of the Ankylo Soul. She is a compassionate, jovial half-orc with freakish strength. She absolutely hates it when people are being bullied or when people she cares about are in danger, and she's willing to throw hands and people. Seriously, I can imagine her just grabbing some jerk by the neck with one hand and then just hurling across the room. Just yeet. In that respect, she's similar to Katie from Power Rangers Time Force. Anyway, moving on to Sir Monthu, the Green Ranger, user of the Tiger Soul, as in saber-toothed tiger. He's a catfolk, Khajiit, whatever you want to call them. In other words, a literal cat person. Like many cats I know, he's highly confident in himself, oftentimes coming across as being even more arrogant than Arathorn. He's very braggadocious, primarily because of his prowess in battle. His fighting style focuses on speed and agility. Cat-like reflexes, am I right? But anyway, when it comes to combat skill, he is really good. In that respect, he could be seen as Logan's equal, which could make for some interesting dynamics between the two characters, a potential power struggle. Next we have Sir Hawks, the Black Ranger, user of the Mira Soul, as in Miragaia. Hawks is what some might consider a draconian, a kobold, Argonian, or some such reptilian fantasy race. Hawks is an introspective kind of guy, brooding, kind of like my last reptilian character, Naja from Galaxy Defense. Hawks doesn't really suppress his emotions, though. He's just a stoic kind of guy. That said, he values family and friendship above all else, and, like Bricka, he will ardently protect those he cares about from harm without hesitation. Later on, of course, we'll meet our 6th Ranger, Tama Kua, the Gold Ranger, user of the Mosa Soul, as in Mosasaurus. Tama is an inhabitant of the fictional Kua Ngaro, which I imagine to be, for all intents and purposes, a Polynesian equivalent to Wakanda, an isolated, technologically advanced island. I actually imagine him being a student at Castle Valley University before revealing himself. He'd probably just claim that he is of Samoan, Maori, Tongan, Fijian, or some other heritage. He's adamant on helping the Rangers fight against the demons since Kua Ngaro did not do so 1,000 years ago, which he feels was the wrong decision to make on the part of his ancestors. So there's like a bit of survivor's guilt that plays into his thinking. He feels that if the demons overrun the rest of the known world, Kua Ngaro will surely be next, and they'll be left defenseless. Being in isolation from the rest of the world, his social skills are a bit limited. He's also a perfectionist, which can annoy others at times. But I think that perfectionism will also drive the others to be better. Now, as far as side characters are concerned, I do have one kind of vague idea. Peter's college advisor, Dr. Michael Payne, head of Castle Valley University's creative writing department. He's just a big ball of energy and sunshine, which might be obnoxious if it wasn't so endearing. He basically serves as Peter's mentor and, well, advisor. they're pretty close, and he often gives Peter valuable advice. He's kind of a strange person, but Peter doesn't really mind that much. Geez, between dinosaurs and knights in color-coordinated spandex, being chased by an army of demons, would you particularly care if your professor was a bit of an oddball? I wouldn't. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk about our villains, the demons. It's been a while since we've had proper demons in Power Rangers. In fact, I believe the last time may have been Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, though you could make a case for the Morlocks from the aforementioned Mystic Force or the Nilox from Power Rangers Samurai. Personally, I'd rather not talk too much about Samurai, but I digress. We'll start from the top with Asmodaia, Queen of Demons, represented by the face on this large, ominous gate that will be uncovered at an excavation site in Castle Valley. Most, if not all, demons are created from her power, and how it works is that Asmodaia feeds on fear, which gives her more power, which allows more demons to be created. The demons attack Castle Valley, thereby generating more fear, and on it goes. She's a bit like my previous big bad, General Nebula, in that she believes that the people of this realm are hopelessly flawed. However, unlike Nebula, Asmodaia doesn't simply want to rule our world. She wants to destroy it and then rebuild it in her image. In her mind, for all their faults, demons are still way better than the people of our realm. She'd list off a number of horrific atrocities committed by mortal beings, the Crusades, Spanish Inquisition, the Holocaust, etc. She insists that even the demons haven't done anything so barbaric, and that they only started performing more villainous actions after the people of our realm had gone too far. And I know that's kind of loaded, but the villain who's a hero in their own mind trope is what I've got. And if Hasbro doesn't use a version of General Nebula for any Q-Ranger adaptation, I'm just going to use a modified version of the same thing here. Perhaps Asmodaia could also hold a grudge against Power Rangers in general because certain teams have targeted demonic creatures in the past. Anyway, let's move on to one of her servants, a dark elf named Rainmere, who's going to be a stand-in for Waizaru and Kuleon. Not only is he a warlock, meaning his powers, which include monster summoning and shapeshifting, are derived from demonic sources, but he's basically Asmodaia's court wizard, and the brains of the horde of demons. His story is basically that he wanted to be a knight, but the chivalric order that the Rangers belong to hold a prejudice against dark elves because they're viewed as evil creatures. As a result, he figures, okay, they want a dark elf? Might as well give him one. Mind you, he's not fully respected by the demons either because he's still a mortal being, albeit with an extended lifespan in exchange for his service to Asmodaia. Rainmere is responsible for creating monsters for the other demons, usually tapping into a small portion of Asmodaia's power to corrupt human beings and turn them into the monsters of the week. He's an ambitious man, which personally causes him to become kind of a chronic backstabber in the vein of the stereotypical Game of Thrones character, and he also prefers inflicting psychological torture on his victims. Next we have Zabul, an upper-level demon born from the negative energy caused by the wars that took place over millennia, who initially leads the charge against our realm. I don't have as much to say about Zabul as I did Rainmere, but I will say that he's more of a stereotypical demon, ever faithful to Queen Asmodaia, proudly carries out her every order, prideful, ruthless, sadistic kind of guy who prefers to use brute force against all the foolish mortal scum, especially our Rangers. Serving as his right hand will be Balganoth, a demonic strategist. He, like Zabul, was born from war, and he is laser-focused on the mission at hand, which kind of makes him a slave driver. These guys are going to be our starting lineup, and of course, more demons will come and go to take Zabul and Balganoth's places, with Rainmere being the constant. The demonic camp will be aided by their foot soldiers, who, for simplicity's sake, we'll just call pawns. That about does it for the villain side, I think. Oh, wait. Sorry, I almost forgot. There will also be one other major antagonist. Vathek, the Demon Knight. He used to be a sickly-looking scholar named Faustus. He, like Rainmere, wanted to be a knight, but was told he was too weak to join the Rangers' order. So, Rainmere decided to exploit Faustus's desire to become a Ranger, and convinced him to sell his soul to Asmodeia in exchange for power, thus transforming Faustus into Vathek. Now, I admit this is similar to Korag the Nightwolf from Power Rangers Mystic Force, but one major difference, spoiler alert, is that Faustus willingly became Vathek, whereas Korag didn't have that choice. With this character, I feel that we have an opportunity to take a Korag type and do it better. For one thing, he won't be joining the other Rangers. He'll stay evil, maybe even become more evil as his thirst for power grows, which, now that I think of it, will probably be egged on by our friendly neighborhood manipulative Dark Elf Warlock. So with the characters out of the way, here are a couple of scenes that I have in mind for the show. We fade in during a heated battle between the Rangers and a demon. It seems to be a stalemate, but the Brave Knights start to turn the tide. The Red Ranger is about to deal a major blow to the demon, and then... freeze frame. We hear a narration. If you couldn't tell, it's been kind of a weird week for me. Though, to be honest, I think I knew it was going to be a weird week from the start. But before I get too far ahead of myself, you see the guy in the red costume? That's actually not me. And then we quickly cut to a young man in his mid to late 20s nervously watching the action from behind a wall. The narration continues. That is me, Peter. And you're probably wondering how I wound up here. We cut to the outside of an excavation site. As we go deeper into the cave, we see an enthusiastic anthropology professor giving a lecture in front of an ominous-looking gate, said to be the door behind which the demon queen Asmodeia is sealed. The professor talks about the recently discovered ruins, which will be used as a nice, quick little way to get some backstory about the storied struggle between mankind and the demons. Pan over to Peter, who seems remotely interested in this lecture because of the fantastic nature of these tales, but you can tell that he's mostly in the class to help fulfill a Gen Ed requirement. Regardless, the field trip goes pretty normally, but later that night, during a full moon, we come back to the ruins, and we see a mysterious hooded figure approach the site. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of security there, it's an archaeological dig. The guard stops the stranger and goes, sorry sir, can't let you through. Authorized personnel only. The hooded figure responds, I see. Do you wish to view my credentials? Incredulous, the guard sarcastically answers, yeah, sure, pal. Very well. The hooded figure fires a bolt of dark energy from his hand, knocking the guard unconscious, and proceeds inside. He reaches the ominous gate from earlier and sets up a wicked sort of summoning circle, complete with candles, skulls, bones, the whole 9 yards. He recites an Evil Dead type incantation and the earth trembles as the ominous gate slowly begins to open. The hooded figure draws back his hood, revealing himself not to be human, but a dark elf, and he stares in awe as a brilliant light shines from behind the gate. 2 demons, Zabul and Balkanoth, make their entrance into our world. The dark elf is elated that this is working, and there's about to be a 3rd demon when the gate slams shut. The dark elf is confused. The spell should have worked. He spent the last 1,000 years perfecting it. What happened? Where is the queen? The gate's eyes glow red, and a voice responds.
I am here, Rainmere.
That is how we learn the Dark Elf's name. She continues.
I do not yet have strength enough to manifest myself in a physical form. For now I will need to feed on the fear of these pathetic mortals. But when the time is right, I shall return. More importantly, have you found King Vincent's heir?
Whoever it is, my lady. They're somewhere in the nearby city. I know not where. Asmodeia is displeased by this news and basically threatens to kill and replace Rainmere should he fail her again. She orders Balganoth to
go into the city that Rainmere mentioned. Find the heir, and be sure to let the mortals know that we have arrived.
Meanwhile, in a old, seemingly abandoned castle, there are 5 stone sarcophagi, all bearing a strange mark. One by one, They burst open from the inside, revealing what appeared to be 5 young people in their mid to late 20s, dressed in medieval clothing. Their dialogue mainly consists of the standard stuff, what year is it, how long have we been asleep, we have to find the heir and protect them, yada yada yada. One of them, another elf, though one who looks very different from Rainmere, suggests casting a scrying spell in order to find the king's descendant. They get a precise location and they make haste that very night. Immediately cut to a digital alarm clock in an apartment somewhere in the town of Castle Valley. It's maybe around 2 o'clock in the morning. We zoom out to the semi-interested young man from earlier, sound asleep, until he hears a knock on his door. His eyes slowly open, he groggily stumbles out of bed, opens the door, and after wiping the sleep from his eyes, he sees 5 complete strangers wearing medieval clothes, carrying swords. Only one of them looks human, and the rest look like a bunch of Dungeons & Dragons rejects. One of them says something to the effect of, "Please forgive us, sir. I'm Sir Logan Ryder of Galarond. These are my companions, and we have awoken from 1,000 years' slumber. We have searched for the heir to our leader, King Vincent, and that is you. Unfortunately, our arrival means that a horde of demons bent on gaining dominion over this world has broken through a magical barrier that was conjured by our predecessors 1,000 years ago. We are here to serve you, to protect you, and we will do so until we draw our terminal breath." Meanwhile, Peter is like, what? So there you have it. That is my idea for Power Rangers Season 28. It's a fantasy story about knights and demons, dinosaurs, soul magic, but above all else, it's a story about what happens when a college student suddenly adopts 5 knights. I thought if we were going to do another dinosaur series, we should pair it with something new. Ideally, the character of Peter would not only serve as a stand-in for the audience, like I mentioned earlier, but also potentially provide for some nice fourth wall breaking humor a la Ninja Storm. Again, I want to apologize for being late. Things have been crazy and it slowed me to a crawl. But I decided to take the position that a delayed product will eventually be better than a rushed product that would immediately be not so good. I took a little more time with this one because I felt like I rushed through Galaxy Defense because I had given myself a lot to do. So for Lost Kingdom, I eased off the throttle a little. Do you think I made the right call? Well, if you like this video, hit it with a thumbs up. If you hate this video, hit it with a thumbs down. Leave a comment down below. Tell your friends to watch my videos if they want to. Hit that subscribe button, ring that bell to be notified when I drop a new video, and don't forget to follow me on social media if you want to. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I bid you a good quarantine.